Hello everybody, this is Gareth Cahoon Speaks back here with another video. I'd like you to hit the subscribe bar, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, or hit the notification bell to be notified when I post my next post. Or otherwise you could donate to my ministry and the charities that I support at garethcahoon3 at gmail.com on PayPal. This one here is, will religion and state, not security, decide Israel's next election? The Israel election is scheduled to be held on October 27, 2026, unless Iranian rockets start raining down again or another major security crisis erupts on Israel's borders. Experts say the campaign will be shaped less by external threats than by the country's growing internal divisions. Israelis plainly fear that cohesion is eroding and society is unraveling, wrote Dr. Suki Friedman, CEO of the Jewish People's Policy Institute, in a blog published in the Times of Israel. Friedman, who spoke with All Israel News, highlighted a recent JPPI Israel Society Index showing that more than half, 55% of Israelis believe internal divisions is the greatest threat facing the country, compared with fewer than a quarter, 23%, who identified Iran as Israel's greatest threat. Moreover, the overwhelming majority of Israelis, 80%, said they are worried about the country's social cohesion on issues that matter most for national security, such as Iran. Israelis told surveyors they believe there is broad public consensus. The platforms of the leading candidates also suggest that whether Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, Gadi Eisenkot, or Yashar or Naftali Bennett wins the election, they are likely to take a similar approach to Israel's borders and the existential threat posed by Iran's nuclear program. Even Yair Lapid is unlikely to deviate significantly from Israel's core security policies. The sharpest political battles are expected to centre on the relationship between religion and the state. Questions such as whether ultra-Orthodox men should be required to serve in the IDF or continue studying Torah, as recent legislation effectively allows whether civil marriage should be expanded and whether boys and girls should be allowed to sit together at public colleges and universities, have become some of the issues driving the deepest wedges between Israelis. Rabbi Chaim Leiter, a member of the private Bet Din Rabbinical Court of Law in Israel, said he has long been a supporter of Netanyahu. However, the Efrat resident said that the latest round of draft-related legislation has been really hard to stomach. Earlier this month, just before the Knesset went on its summer break, it passed a new basic law titled Torah Study, which declares Torah study a fundamental value in the heritage of the Jewish people and in the state of Israel. While that may sound uncontroversial on paper, critics argue that law was designed to bolster the position of those seeking to avoid military service. Alongside it, lawmakers passed the temporary measure freezing the arrest of draft debaters. At the same time, the Knesset passed an amendment to the student rights law, allowing universities and colleges to offer gender-separated masters and doctoral programs rather than limiting the practice to bachelor's degrees, as had previously been the case. Additionally, the Knesset passed legislation restoring the chief rabbinate's exclusive control over kosher certification in Israel, reversing reforms enacted in 2021. Everything in the last couple of weeks has been horribly detrimental on so many levels. Leiter said, I just feel like you can't ignore the fact that they have tried to enshrine Torah study as something equivalent to serving in the army. I don't know why they had to rush that legislation through at the last minute. Freeman said he believes most Israelis understand that allowing the Haredi way of life to continue without requiring greater integration into the society could ultimately undermine the country's future. He noted that about 25% of Israelis' first graders are from the Haredi community. If they do not study core subjects and participate more fully in the workforce, he argued Israel could eventually lose its economic strength. That's basically the question. Will Israel let the Haredim drag the state to be more and more extreme? Friedman asked, is it about who is in the coalition and their influence in politics? It's about integration into society. It's about drafting into the army. It's about their influence on the rabbinical system and the religious services. Leiter said that although he believes most Israelis want to loosen the already establishment's grip on the matters of religion, it is an exemption from the idea of service that is most likely to spark another wave of protests as widespread and intense as those we've seen before October 7th in 2023 over the judicial reform. He said he expects to see demonstrators every Saturday night and growing tension between different segments of Israeli society. He added that failing to change the makeup of the coalition and reduce the influence of the far right and the ultra-Orthodox could further damage Israel's international standing. While he does not believe anti-Semitism is tied to one leader or another, he said that the way this coalition has functioned and the outlandish things that have been said and done, those sorts of things are just not helping us. Friedman said he believes most Israelis know what changes need to happen and hopes their voices will be heard at the ballot box. He stressed in the Times of Israel essay that this is not a call for bland centralism. It is a call to reject fanatical extremists and choose a national life grounded in fellowship and in a renewed emphasis on what unites us. If the polls are right, the greatest threat Israelis hope to confront on October 27th will not be Iran, but themselves. Shalom, Maranatha, and Hallelujah.